My friends over at Roosevelt's, they make the most incredible shirts. And they have everything from Disney to The Office to Jurassic Park, WWE, and everything pop culture. Nickelodeon, Nicktoons. My son and I fight over the shirts that we get shipped to us. Use promo code SWOGGLE. Save 20% off any order, from button-ups to hoodies to activewear, everything. Guys, go to roosevelts.com. RSVLTS.com. Use promo code SWOGGLE. Save yourself 20% on everything. RSVLTS.com. Guys, so loud I heard the echo in George's headset.
I don't think you did. I think you just heard the echo in your own room.
Guys, this is Going Postl. I'm Dylan. That's George. And once again, thank you for joining us for another awesome episode. You saw by the title. This is a small talk with Tyson Kidd, a.k.a. Tyson Kidd. Real name, TJ Wilson.
There you go.
That's how we do it. Before we go any farther, this podcast is sponsored by and brought to you by our awesome friends at Roosevelt's. Head over to rsvlts.com. Use promo code SWOGGLE. rsvlts.com. Promo code SWOGGLE. Save yourself some cash.
Give me one of these really quick. Because you sound great, but you're also on top of the microphone.
I'm not on top. I like the mic there. It makes me feel comfortable. You know this by now.
That's great, but it does shit for the audio of the podcast.
Well,
it's a matter of, do you want to look cool with the microphone?
I don't want to look cool.
Frame?
This is...
Guys, by the way, brand new microphone for Dylan Postl.
Brand new mic. Installed myself. Thank you very much. I am growing up to be a real boy.
I'm proud of you. You've come a long way since the Patreon version of this podcast. Let's talk about this, man. You sitting down. This is someone that's been in that Rolodex of names that we said that we wanted to get on the podcast since the very beginning. TJ Wilson, Tyson Kidd has been on that list. He has appeared on a lot of other friends of the show's podcast.
But he doesn't do a lot of interviews, period.
That's what I was going to say, but that's the thing. He picks his appearances
very few. And so, man,
huge honor to have him here today.
I was so happy when he said it was an immediate yes, just when he has time, and it worked out. And it was so fun, and just laughs, and like a lot of untold stories, not just of him and I, but of his growing up, and his the Matt Rats stuff is so fun to hear about, and so like interesting to hear about how it's essentially like
to edit on my side, not being there for the interview, but being the one that edits
it
together for you guys. Like, it was just, I don't know. I feel like I always say this. It's nice to kind of be on that side of it, where I'm like listening to the interview and not actually taking part in it.
And it's just it was interesting to me because I knew a little bit about it because we've talked about it and I brought it up to him, but he went into like detail about it, and just how open he was. And I asked about Matt. You'll hear I asked about Matt Rats. He goes, "All right, I'll go into full detail." And that's how he was through the whole interview. Like, there was never any like,
we're talking about it.
Yeah. And it was fun, man. It was just overall such a fun interview, and it's still so awkward to interview my friends, but it also is a very easy interview
to host on my end.
Is this the part where I'm supposed to tell you that every time you do it?
I know.
I feel like we have this conversation every time.
Every time I get messages about it. But guys, I don't know if George has anything else before it.
No. The only thing I'm gonna say is this: is the next time that you do an interview, if someone's like, "Hey, could we do that again?" You kind of fell flat on that. Then we know that we need to maybe pick up the pieces and rethink how we do it. But it seems like every time you interview someone, they're just like, "Oh, this was great. This
you
was
really worried me.
I had a great
you
time."
worried me that someone said that about this one.
No, I'm saying
like, oh, no.
if it ever happens that someone's just like, "Dylan, maybe we should redo that whole thing. I don't know. It wasn't great. It didn't feel natural." Then maybe we'll address some concerns that maybe need to change.
Good.
But
Perfect.
everyone else has always said they've had a great time. So just keep doing you.
Makes me happy.
Mad Cat Beard Care, they are the absolute best. They make my beard feel soft, silky, smooth. But not only that, they've been a one-man show since 2019. Mad Cat Beard Care uses a portion of sales to care for local stray cats, cover their medical bills, find safe spaces, and forever homes. Their products are made to order with vitamins and all natural oils that promote strong, healthy hair and moisturize your skin as well. Mad Cat Beard Care has exclusive scents for myself as well as other wrestlers, such as a childhood favorite of mine, Delirious, Ring of Honor legend with his lime and French vanilla scent that makes my beard smell and feel amazing. And of course, make sure to try my exclusive scent, Swoggled, with notes of lavender and sage. And guys, make sure to use promo code SWOGGLED to save 15% on your whole order at madcatbeardcare.com. And remember, the Mad Cat makes a happy beard.
Still small talk. I'm Dylan Postl, and this is a great friend, a hell of a Madden player, a lover of all things cats and Tupac, and easily the most undercover bully in any locker room.
Wow.
I would say, maybe not bully, but shit stir.
Sure.
I will say shit stir in any locker room whatsoever. He's the man with the craziest memory I have ever met in my whole life. TJ Wilson, Tyson Kidd, my friend. These intros are always so weird when they're with friends of mine.
Sure,
but,
yeah.
Hey, man.
Hey,
how are you?
Doing? Yeah, I appreciate it. Obviously, the shit story is always in a joking way. It's never serious and facetious.
No, but it's I laughed at that while writing the.
But it's definitely a true thing.
It's always you're never an upfront like disturber. It's always like you see something going on and it's poking the bear. That's always what it is. It's disturbing from afar.
I think I used to be a bit more upfront, and then I kind of saw Kofi's way of doing things a little bit more methodical.
When I had him on here, we talked about that exact thing. He was one to just. He's the nicest human being I have ever met. The best.
He's so calculating, though.
Yes, he knows what he's doing. He 100% knows what he's doing.
He sees something, he doesn't say it right there. He puts it away, and it saves it for next time.
The amount of saved photos, he talked about this. He goes, Dylan, I have photos saved from years that have never come out in group chats just for the right time, just to make myself laugh. I said, these are just taking up storage on your phone. He goes, oh, yeah, years now.
He's waiting for the right time.
Exactly.
He's patient.
With my friends, I was saying these are always awkward and odd because it's just a conversation. It turns into just a typical conversation between us. But I always, when I had Hawkins on and Kofi on, I always try to hey, when did we first become buddies? And your memory, this is where you'll come in. Well, the first time meeting, in my mind was when we worked with you and when Fit and I worked with you and Natty on the house shows, and then that loop, the breakup loop with me and Fit.
Yeah. And that was like, obviously I got called up, and I was on Raw, and I think you were on SmackDown at first when I got called up, and then I would have been over. I
thought you went right to ECW.
Well, I was on ECW, and they was with Raw. That's what I meant. Sorry. And then
on the house show loop.
And then it moved over. ECW moved over to SmackDown.
Yep.
Yeah. It was originally with Raw. The first couple weeks I did it, and then it moved over to SmackDown. So that's when I met you.
Okay. And then we did
I remember clearly you coming up to me in catering, and you said, "Hey, so we're working this weekend," and that was my first loop of live events, and so I remember being so nervous, man. When you came up and said that to me, I was like, I knew I was on the live events that weekend, and I knew I was in trouble. Not in trouble, but they kept nitpicking my stuff because it looked too pretty, and I was supposed to be a bad guy, so it's supposed to. I was like, I don't know what you guys want me to do, and the guys before me, I don't know. There happened to be I don't think this was done on purpose, but I think it was a lot of sink or swim, and a lot of guys got called up from FCW that were kind of in developmental for like a year and a half, 2 years, and they'd get called
they
up.
all worked with Fit. They all it was always us.
Like, at that point, it was like, so Colt gets released the week after the week I debut. I debut on Tuesday. Colt gets let go on Friday. I'm with him at Chipotle with Trent, Ryan Braddock, Kazarni. All these guys kept getting called up. They'd go to ECW or some would go to SmackDown, and then they'd be gone. So here I am thinking, after this loop of live events, I'm out of here. Like, this is going to be the final nail where, like, I'm not going to get that stamp of approval, I feel like.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because you named all of those names, Ryan Braddock, Kazarni, but those were always, and I've thought about it in the past, like how Fit always had the test run for developmental guys. The Ryan Braddock, the Kazarni, Kali for what seemed like 9 years. Yeah. It was just all of that. But then I never realized that was you. I mean, that was your the house show loop was that. But for you, I never put two and two together with that.
I was super nervous. I was pretty scared, to be honest. Of like, okay, I really have to impress. Noble was the producer, but I already had a decent relationship with Noble. I wrestled him once in FCW, and I wrestled him in a dark match when I first got called up. So he and I had a funny relationship. We always have. He was the producer on those live events, but and obviously Fit was a producer too, but he was in the match with me. So anyway, I remember we're on right before intermission. So I wrestled Fit.
On the house show, you're saying?
Yes. And I thought the match went really well, but my thoughts don't matter. It's what does Fit think that's going to be the sink or swim here. Yeah. And you guys I look at the monitor. I was like, where's Fit? Where's Fit? And I look at the monitor, and you guys are doing the deal where like you call kids in the ring and you jump up and click your heels, and guys end up tripping. You want to talk about a bully? You guys end up bullying Chimmel.
The Chimmel. I had Chimmel on here. We talked about that exact thing. How I was that. We'd throw worms at him from under the ring. He'd end up like hitting a stunner on me randomly because we were bullying him. Literally, Tony Chimmel hitting me with a stunner, and then I'd go, Fit, why aren't you taking that? He goes, if you think I would take that from Tony Chimmel.
So I'm watching the monitor. I'm seeing you guys do this, and I was like, well, the match shouldn't have been that bad if it's, or maybe it was that bad that now he's got to give the fans
trying to forget
what it is.
It was so bad he's trying to forget it by dancing with kids in the ring.
He's trying to at least make the fans, make the crowd happy before intermission by playing around because the match, he didn't like the match at all.
So before that, obviously you're talking about development.
That's when we became buddies. My job was safe for another week.
Because you didn't get let go that Friday, we became pals.
Basically.
I see, and I couldn't think like doing something like thinking about this. I couldn't think if there was like because Hawkins and I, It was because Punk and I were riding together, and we knew Hawkins and Ryder had the free car and the free hotels. So we just overtook that, like we did it with Kofi, like you did with a lot of people. We just overtook their cars. That's what we did. we made them room with each other instead of their own rooms, and so we could have their other room. That's hazing, of course. But I was like, I know we didn't do that with you because
No.
I think we rode together twice, 3 times when I randomly would jump in with you and Nat.
Yep.
But that was it.
Yep.
But it was
you would hop in here and there.
It was
You
always
were the freeloader or the ride hopper.
I loved it. The backseat sleeping, fine by me.
Oh, dude, yeah, you have an uncanny ability to go to sleep the second that door. you and Harry Smith, man, masters. That door closes.
Kobe, we talked about it where I wouldn't, because when I eat, it's instant. We timed it to under 20 minutes in the car where I can just be out, and I love it. So I feel like Kofi would just like not eat because he didn't want me to fall asleep 20 minutes into the ride.
That is so funny. Oh yeah, we'll get one at the next stop. He just keeps driving.
next before getting called up, you obviously did developmental. Before that, what I want to talk about and what I need people to know more about is probably one of my favorite things about your career, mat rats. I need to know about. I need to know. I've heard a little bit of the story, and tell me, just give me a brief. What was mat rats?
Okay, so I'll try to make it brief. So this,
I love this.
Well, just because it's such a funny thing. So Stampede Wrestling was back on TV in '99 and 2000. Mm-hmm. And this new company had taken over. First it was like Shaw TV, it doesn't matter, but they were filming. Then this new company was going to film for the rest of the season. And they didn't really know wrestling, but they were kind of this new, like this media group. So they were interested in it. And one guy came to the show and he said he watched a few of the matches and he was getting ready to leave. He was like, okay, I know what this is. And he was getting ready to leave. And as he's getting ready to leave, he said, Ted and I wrestled each other. And he was like, wait a minute, these guys are a bit smaller than everybody else. Let me just stick around for a second. These guys look a little different. We were small. It wasn't like we came out, we were way bigger than everyone. We were the opposite. We were way smaller. And he was like, what's this? And obviously we were younger. So we were smaller than everyone else, but also you could tell we were kids. We were 18, 19 years old. So he'd always tell this story that like we did this thing where like Ted clotheslined me and we did this flying clothesline where Ted clotheslined me and we bumped on like opposite sides of the ring from each other. And like, he just loved our movement. And was
how long were you guys with that at the time?
I was wrestling at this point. I started in 95. So this is about 5 years in.
Oh, okay. So quite a bit.
Yeah. But I mean, it started in 95, but I had one match when I was in 95. I had like 3 matches and I was a kid. So we would only have a match or 2 in the summertime.
Yep.
And then, so he saw that clothesline. He'd always talk about this clothesline. And it's so funny. You know my memory. I don't even remember this clothesline, but he loves this clothesline or whatever it was. And it sparked some idea. And he was like, okay, I'll do this Stampede Wrestling thing, but it started to formulate another idea in his head that he wanted to almost do a promotion just of our stuff, like just of more of us.
Just you two.
Yeah, like couple gremlins drop water on us and more of us sprout out and then make that company. But Ted, funny enough, had the vision before that. The year before, Ted was like, let's start training like kids, like how we were kids, so we can relate to them. Let's train kids. We know we were kids that were training. We know what they kind of want. And I remember thinking this is a weird idea. And then has it progressed? And we did start training some of these kids. Like we were training 15, 16. We trained adults too. We trained a lot of people. It's kind of funny, but we trained like maybe as young as like 12 or 13. And
this was in an actual ring, obviously.
Yes, sir. Yeah. At Ted's dad's gym.
Okay.
He had converted this ring to like a floor ring. So he had it upstairs as a floor ring. And it was might have been 16 by 16. And, And it was, to be fair, it had a lot of give to it. It wasn't so taxing on your body. It was a ring, still is,
Yeah.
gravity still exists, but it wasn't so terrible, this ring. And yeah, man, Ted just had this idea to train these kids, and we did. We trained some kids, and we had some pretty decent guys. And then when this guy Graham one day talked to us and he said, "Hey, I have this idea for this show." He's like, "Have you guys ever heard of?" And I'll probably pronounce this wrong, but Menendo or something. And it was a group that Ricky Marvin was a part of in Mexico. And once you turn a certain age in this boy band or whatever, you're out. It's up until like 18 or 19. And he's like, "I want to do something maybe like that in wrestling, maybe 21 and under." And it was like, what a funny concept, because like we happened to train. At that point, we might have had like 10 or 12 people that were 21 and under that we were training. And then like, and then once you kind of get he's like, okay, now once it's like starting to get in motion and he's getting ready to like film a pilot, now word gets out there. Now we have more people that are coming, and maybe this guy has a little bit of experience. 18 years old, he tried wrestling a little bit and it didn't quite work out for him, but now he's 19, he wants to try one more time and see if maybe we can help him out.
Yeah.
So we just happen to have this surplus of people 21 and under for some reason. I don't know, it's just the Calgary thing where like myself, Ted, Natty, and Harry we were like, Ted and I were 20. Harry would have been 15 and 14 years old at this point. So then it just kind of kept snowballing this guy's idea.
And more people. And then it turned into its own essentially promotion, right?
Yeah. So then he was like, I remember like, you've been around wrestling long enough. And at this point, I've been around wrestling 4 or 5 years. If you're around wrestling for 4 or 5 days, you've probably been lied to at this time. I like to be, I'm very proud of our generation. I think we've changed a lot of things, but in the prior, if you're in the 4 or 5 days, you've probably been lied to about 6 or 7 times.
Yeah.
So like, it's just words until all of a sudden we go to their studio and now like we see them gutting the part out. And now they have a ring there. Then they added like the little, like we had these, we'd always call them pizza pies, but we had these little like springboards on top of the turnbuckles that had like springs. It wouldn't give you much boost, but it just it looked different and just aesthetically.
On top of the posts?
Yeah. So you could like climb the turnbuckle and then hop onto this thing. It was like a little bit higher than the top rope.
Okay.
Kinda, you know what? Honestly, it's a little similar to WWE's turnbuckles now. The post out, the thick LED one. So it was like, but just imagine a thick one and then just get stick at the top. That's what we had.
Okay. So you'd have almost more control. You could do stuff off of there actually too.
Yeah. Like Teddy, like we've done like superplexes off there and stuff like that.
That's crazy.
Okay. On the little thing.
Yeah.
But like now we show up at the studio and now like it's kind of this ring's being assembled and now like we see he makes this like little ramp to the ring and now you're starting to get the vision of like, oh, okay, that's the backstage. Oh, got it. And then it was like, oh, this thing's real now. And then we filmed one day, we filmed a 2-episode pilot with they hired a bunch of actors and actresses, young ones, to be fans in the crowd. Yep. And then we filmed 2 episodes of TV and they shopped it around. It got pretty close to happening. It got very close. At one point, Bischoff hops on. Bischoff comes. Yeah, it somehow comes across Bischoff's. It hits his radar somehow. I think through maybe like DDP and Canyon, they're always watching things, and somehow it hit them. And so now, like one day, our friend Graham, he's getting a phone call from Eric Bischoff, and this is in February 2001. So WCW still is around at this time, and Bischoff. I'm sorry. January is when Bischoff is calling Graham. Bischoff comes to Calgary. We do a show personally for Bischoff in February 2001. WCW still exists.
With him there?
He's right there. Like it's for him. He's right there. Bischoff and Jason Harvey are right there.
Wow.
Yeah. We did 3 matches that day.
Have you talked to him like about this? Like
when he was in WWE, no, we never really discussed it. I wanted to bring it up, but I wanted to get to know him a little bit first and how to kind of come up organically. I didn't know if he had I know I was. This is a funny story. It has. I mean, they have something to do with each other. But
Yeah.
so the last time I saw Bischoff before he just came back,
When
in
would that?
2019
Yeah.
in 2019. I'm sorry. The last time I saw him prior to that was I just been signed the day before. Literally the day before. Teddy and I are going to do an indie show in New York. It was it was a wild plane. It was a wild ticket. It had like 2 stops. Same with on the way back, was nuts. But anyway, Ted and I we flew to Phoenix maybe. And then now we're Phoenix. We're going somewhere else. But maybe not. No, I don't think New York. We have one more stop. But anyway, I'm like, Ted and I were off somewhere else, and I was like, hey, Ted, I think they're boarding. And, I don't know anything about flying yet at this time. Right now I'm a pro, but at this point, I'm like, I think they're boarding. He's like, oh, we're okay. Now we're in line, and Ted at this time was talking about doing MT. He was doing Wrestling Society X.
Yep.
And he's talking, and like, I don't think anything, but the guy in front of us has like white hair, gray hair, white hair, yeah. And Ted's like talking about MTV and blah, blah, blah. And then like the white hair turns around and reveals Eric Bischoff's face. Bischoff was in front of us. He was flying to a pay-per-view, Cyber Sunday he was flying to. He was like an option for something. He was in front of us. And he turned around and dude, it was like it was so crazy. Without missing a beat, he goes, oh, I was wondering who was talking all that shit. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, same thing as I just said about when I wrestled Pitt. Oh, man, I'm fired before I even get hired. I just got hired yesterday. Now this incident's about to go down. I'm about to get fired. They're about to call me and say, hey, remember that contract? We don't buy. Click.
Yeah.
Dude.
That's so good.
And then without missing a beat, Ted goes, that's funny coming from the guy who talked the most shit of all time in the business. And I was like, oh my God,
so now you're definitely gone. You're definitely gone now.
Oh, I might get fired before I even step on the. Oh my God, man! I was like, and then it all nothing happened, obviously.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
What was that? Like, what's the odd timing in that? That like Bischoff's the second, he's the third last person boarding the flight, but behind Ted.
Right in front of you guys when Ted's talking about Wrestling Society X, and we would.
It started. He was like, I'd only sign with WWE for X amount of dollars, which like nobody was like making at that time. And then that's when Bischoff turned around and called him out on it. And then he didn't miss a beat either.
No, he never cared. He never cared. He's not. No.
I was like, oh God, this is awkward.
Did Matt? And so, do I remember that you telling me a time when we were talking about Matt Rats that you guys did like a Matt Rats match as extra work, essentially? Like you guys got called up for extra work because of Matt Rats?
No, so we were doing Matt Rats, and then it was there was a TV company came, or like some sort of production company came, or I'm sorry, distribution company came down to Calgary. We did a show for them. Now Bischoff's a part of things. Now he's on board.
Okay.
Yeah, he saw that show. He loved it. He jumped on board right away. And at this point, his company, they're getting that Fusion Media together to go buy WCW. Like,
so
in theory, essentially, we're going to be almost some kind of feeder system to WCW in a way.
Yeah.
I remember
they
were sending Canyon down to come train with us and stuff. It was like talks got quick right away. And then obviously when the Fusion Media pulled out, then obviously everything on the WCW changed. Then I think Bischoff maybe became a little more focused on Matt Rats. He was on the phone with our guy Graham every day. And then maybe not every day, but I mean a lot. They were on the phone a lot. And we did a show when Bischoff was a part of things for this company, distribution company and stuff. And seemed like a lot of good traction. And then it just, I don't know if it's September. I remember like that Graham was supposed to go fly and meet them September 11th. And of course it doesn't go down.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's why it didn't happen. I think it wasn't meant to be at that point.
Okay.
But then like a little bit later, there's SmackDown in Calgary, and we go myself, Harry, Ted, Natty, Jack's there, and Diana's there too. And Vince comes in we're in this room, and like Vince comes in the room with Stephanie, and Vince he's like, hey, I heard you guys can do things my guys can't even do. And I was thinking, like,
Really?
Yeah, it was like, I'm about to turn 21. I was 22. I'm sorry, I'm 21. I'm about to turn 22, and I just was like, man, like the emperor of wrestling just said this to us.
The number one guy of all time, essentially.
I was like, oh my God, it's like so. Matt Rats at that point was kind of over, but like we felt like it created not obviously it didn't create any kind of real buzz, but it did a little something for us at least. Like, kind of propped us a little bit up in the city, or like we just felt a little bit better about and being like, okay, we're definitely on the right path. Then you have this meeting with Vince, and he said something. He said, I have no doubt that all of you will work here eventually, something like that about us in that room, which is funny. Like Jack was the only one who didn't end up getting signed a little bit late, but he did do it. He did come down to FCW, and he did have a tryout.
Yep.
And Jack's so talented, man. But
I remember my favorite. I told my favorite wrestler ever when I was like finally getting into wrestling, like independent wrestling. Him and Amazing Red were my favorites ever.
When Jack
you introduced me to him in Mexico that time.
Yeah. When Jack came to Calgary, man, he's like, that's where Matt Rats was so awesome. Like, I wouldn't have met Jack Evans without Matt Rats. Like, and the Jack Evans I met is like the cool, not that he's not anymore. He still is. I just haven't seen him in a long time. Jack's the coolest. He was so fun to be around. His energy was literally like, is infectious. And he just, I don't know, man. His bumping style was so ahead of its time, and he was
weird.
It was
odd, but not like bad odd. It was just so different, and how he could move and like athleticism like no other, but in a different way than Ricochet is absolutely
so
incredible.
Funny. I was thinking
Neville is absolutely incredible, but how Jack Evans did it. It looked different. It looked almost like he wasn't trying. Like he wasn't meaning to.
That is so true.
Like, I'm not meaning to do 17 backflips. I'm just going to that's my body's just moving. Like that's just how it goes.
His body just like turns into a rag doll.
Yes.
Like mid-air.
Yeah. And looks like he should be dead on these things and just pops up.
Maybe like 20. Obviously, the size would not have been beneficial for him. But if, say, like 2011 WWE, where like so many people are dancing and stuff, like I always thought, what if the company or Vince had no perception and they just were told, hey, this kid's good, and just don't hype it up too much, but just watch. And like imagine at that time, like Jack walking out to the ring on his hands, comes out of Gorilla and on his hands and walks all the way to the ring. Then he hops in and starts breakdancing.
He'd be doing that to this day.
There's a good chance the company loves him right off the bat.
For sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe, I always thought, what if? Jack is so talented.
When Hunoko and Camacho were coming out on a bike, when I was dancing with Brodus, if Truth was, doing his dancing and his rapping, exactly, you are 100% right, because everyone had a shtick in those couple of years. Like everyone had, okay, you're gonna ride a bike, that kind of thing, and it's Neville, you're gonna come out with a cape because you need to be a superhero. Like everyone had something, but exactly what you said, him coming out on his hands and just doing the things that he did would have stood out so much to Vince.
He would have wowed the right people instantly.
Matt Rats, then you get noticed, and then eventually you were talking about getting hired the week you met Bischoff.
Yeah.
Now you're in developmental, gonna be debuting on ECW. Everyone wants to talk about your athleticism and how you make things look so easy and so pretty, like we've talked about. I want to talk about the hair. Where did that idea? I loved it. I think it stood out so much because everyone was either long-haired or shaved head. Where did the idea for it come from?
That's exactly it. I needed something. Something to stand out. I saw it might be Tough Enough 2, 3.
Hawk?
I remember not watching the first Tough Enough out of like protest that like this is against the code of the business. The show.
Shouldn't be
Yeah, I
showing
remember
Triple H showing punches. Shouldn't be showing
being
that.
stubborn. Like, I wasn't mad at anybody on it. I just didn't want to support the show and I wouldn't watch it. And
Really?
then on Raw, they'd show clips and I was like, oh, that looks interesting. I was like, then I realized,
man, I loved it.
Dude, so I realized, oh, I'm missing out on some information. I got to watch this because, like, I know but Triple H is on there telling some legit, very good information.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just it.
And one of the guys, maybe Jake, had like this shaved head, but he had the front piece. But he might have had like more than just the front. He might have had like to the sides too. He's this big jacked guy, and I was like,
I couldn't think if it was Jake or Hawk because I think there was a guy.
Maybe Hawk.
Was it Hawk?
Maybe. And I was like,
okay.
You know what? I need something like that. I was like, because at this point, I don't have a lot of experience cutting promos. Yep. Not like cutting like indie ones. Like, hey, let's do this match right now, and the people cheer. But that's not a promo. I'm not telling you who I am or what my mission is or what I'm doing. It's just saying, hey, let's fight. Instead of waiting next week, let's fight now. The crowd cheers. The babyface, the heel says no, and then we do the match next week.
Yep. The same song and dance every time.
Yep. So I needed something. I didn't have. I feel like there's two types of charisma to me. There's people that just have natural charisma in everything they do. Then there's people you get to know them. They do have a lot of charisma, but they kind of need their confidence to kind of build it, to show it in all facets of their life. So I believe that I had it. I just need that confidence. So until I get that confidence, I needed something that, like, at least when you see me, it sticks out. Yep. And I remember I wrestled in England, and we did a show, and we were like back in the same town like 3 weeks later. And this mom brought her two kids up to me, and she's like, look at their hair. And like, they both had my exact haircut. And I was like, okay, that's something. These guys saw me wrestle here last time.
Yeah.
They were like,
pretty awesome. That's cool. That's yeah.
And maybe like 2 or 3 weeks into ECW, we're in Cincinnati. I remember clearly Cincinnati. I remember coming out after eating, walking out, and there was the same thing. A mom with her son she's like, "Hey, can you take a picture of my son? Do you notice anything?" And he had the exact same haircut.
And so you knew going into it that had to be your thing, that stood out.
Like, I knew that, like, it's funny. I knew that in a way it would hold me back, that like it looks maybe too weird, you know. Eventually you need to do what I did. Eventually, like, grow your hair normal or long or whatever, shave it, whatever. But I knew that I needed something to get me in the door. Or
the initial standout.
Kind of like Hawkins always talks about when he had the cane, and he's at
the cane that I love. I loved the cane. He hated the cane because he hated traveling with it. Yeah. He sold the cane shockingly in the group, and I was so mad. I was so mad when he sold the cane. I said, I would have bought the cane because I loved the cane so much. The cane stands out as much as the stripper few weeks.
But he'd always talk about how he had the cane, because then at least worst case, you leave the show, you say if you don't know his name or whatever, say the guy with the cane.
The guy with the cane.
My mindset was the same thing. The guy with the hair.
Yeah, perfect. That's exactly what I was hoping.
Yeah.
We were talking. The intro was how we met and became buddies and all of that. A thing that stands out most about our friendship as far as work, besides like literally starting like my first matches were against you and Natty, I feel. And I was like, awesome. The house shows were just having fun. But then later down the line, Royal Rumble 2011, where it is, we have the meeting and it's in there that said, all right, Hornswoggle comes in and then he's going to do some stuff with Cena and then have Heath and Tyson Kidd involved. And I remember specifically after we kind of planned some stuff out, one person of the two being boo-boo faced, and then one person being 100% going, oh, this is going to be great. Heath, I called him out about it. Heath was a tad boo-boo faced about it. When you were the one that threw it all, I mean, you were fully in. What was?
Yeah, it's so funny, man. I downloaded the Audible version of your book during the pandemic, and I put in it took me about 2 days. I ran through it, but I remember getting to that part, and I can remember I was driving to my ring, and I was laughing so hard. I was like, "Oh, the mountain book."
100%. I'm not gonna lie in my own book,
but I'm not lying. You can just leave it out. So I was like, man. So if you remember, that was the 40-man rumble. So they took 20 people and they put them on this side of the room, and they took 20. And I remember I was like,
and they put Trent in the meeting, and then had to say, hey, remember that? That's so for who was it for? For Edge, right?
Was it? No,
I think that was,
I don't remember. I don't remember the 2011 one having one.
No, there was a surprise.
I think it was an alternate just in case.
Oh, okay. I thought he was in there.
Well, the surprises were Booker T and Diesel in that one.
Oh, I thought that was the Edge one. Okay, go ahead though.
And Edge is. Yeah, when is that? Edge is the year before, 2010.
Okay.
So we're on that side of the room, and you're trying to do the quick math in your head, what does this mean? Does this mean I'm in this thing deep? Am I in this thing? You're trying to do them, and this is my first Royal Rumble.
Yep.
Pay attention to everything, so I don't mess something up. I don't know how these things are done. I don't want to be the guy who, after 20 years or 30 years, I'm the one guy that messes up the entire Royal Rumble. So I'm sitting there trying to pay as much attention to everything as I can, and it's like, all right. And then Tyson comes out, and luck of the draw, you got Cena and Hornswoggle in there. They bounce you around a little bit. AA, Cena will give you an AA, and out you go. And I was like, okay. I was like, I would love to have been winning this thing. I would love to have been an Iron Man in this thing. But if I'm not going to be either of those things, I was like, to do this moment with Hornswoggle, who's a friend of mine, and then I'd be eliminated by Swoggle and John Cena, I was like, it doesn't hurt my standing whatsoever to be thrown out of the Royal Rumble by John Cena. Exactly. Yeah. I was like, that's okay. And then you were like, hey, are you cool? You're like, I have an idea. Are you cool if I don't know if it was you or I can't remember if it was you or Cena, but I think it was you that presented it to me about doing the AA to me.
My horrible memory remembers going up to you and asking, can I see if I can pick you up for an AA? That's the only thing I remember about our interaction that day, and you being 100% going, yes, please.
Yeah, I loved it. I was like, man, it's going to be funny. I'm going to, I'm giving away the secrets here, but I'm going to sell this AA from Swoggle just as much as the Cena one. Yes. And to me, that's the magic in it. Yes. If I treat the Swoggle one like it hurts any less, I drop the ball. It's a fail.
Yep.
I have to sell it, if not even more than the Cena one.
It just makes it makes it that much more.
I tried my best to sell it out of that AA. Both of them. And you know what? I will say this. And I don't know, again, it's the first Rumble I've ever done. I was only ever in 2. I will say this. Everything was cool. Like you said, I was happy to do it. Again, I wasn't winning. I wasn't going to be the Iron Man. If I was going to be the Iron Man, that would have been cool. Because I always feel like that guy who lasts a long time, that always gives them a little boost, I was like, okay, if I'm neither of those things, this entertainment segment, and it helps you out, cool, no problem. But so I did it with full smiles. I wasn't mad about anything. I remember it was very cool, actually. But boom, you give me the AA, then Cena grabs me. And I don't know if he does this every time he eliminates, but he just said thank you and threw me out. So I always appreciated that he gave me that little thank you on the way out.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he would have said it in Gorilla after anyway, but I don't know.
During is even cooler.
Because everything was cool, because he saw that. I wasn't gonna have a boo-boo face, and I wasn't pouting about it. It was no problem.
He like going into the planning of that thing, he goes, whatever you want to, literally to me, he goes, I got other stuff I got to handle in this match. Whatever you want to do, you just tell me. And I was like, this is John Cena telling me to, like, okay, all right. Okay, here we go. I was like, I can't now go ask him, hey, what do you want to do? I have to now try to plan this stuff out. It was awesome. Just
every Royal Rumble I get tagged in that post all the time.
Yeah,
every Rumble.
Yeah, it's that's one of those moments.
And I'm happy about it. I'm not at all. I'll see the comments be like, oh, this is terrible. I'm like, no, I mean, that's not all the comments. I will see the odd one. And I'm like, bro, you literally, you just don't understand what's going on.
If it stands out and these people are remembering it, that's the job that was supposed to be done.
Yeah.
If it would have messed up and people would have remembered it, it would have been for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But,
dude, I had no issue with it whatsoever.
I love it. It was one of those literally like memories of my career that like stand out most because of that Royal Rumble.
Did we do the wildly long head scissors in that one, or is it a different match? There's one where we do the head scissors, and it was, maybe it's not this one, might not have been the Rumble, might have been NXT, like the tag with
yes, I literally have NXT next.
We do the really long head scissors
because NXT was next on my thing, because we were both part of what seemed to be, and this was NXT before NXT. Literally, we would go every week. You and I would go, when is this ending? Like, what's the end game in this? And no one knew. No one knew.
And nobody was getting eliminated. Jacob Novak got eliminated.
The real tall.
With JTG, right?
Him, but who was the real Eli Cottonwood? I called him Rottenwood.
Was Cottonwood in the second? He was on that one too.
I thought he was the bring back for us. Maybe not.
Maybe. I can't remember.
I know there was one elimination early, and then it just kept going.
Yeah, Novak, JTG's guy, Jacob Novak, got eliminated.
What was
He's pretty tall, and at one point, I think in his last match, he went and got like the braids. Was Connor? Connor was in ours. Yeah, Connor's in that tag gauntlet.
Oh, did he last, or was he a vote out?
I don't remember if he ends up getting eliminated later.
Because I feel like he wasn't around during the very, very favorite feud of mine, of yours, of mine, you and a man named Yoshitatsu.
The tots.
Which again, and I'm sure you can attest to it, it was like the NXT season, that feud seemed like it went on for 90 years.
And then like it almost was over, but it actually was just a little break. So I took his leg out, and then he returned his Dark Side Yoshi.
Yeah, no, I forgot about Dark Side Yoshi.
Here's the funny thing. It was hard work, and there was a bit of I don't know if it was the language barrier. I wrestled a lot of Japanese guys and foreign guys. But it was a little bit harder to put the matches together. But then the truth is, usually Yoshi would be, once we were in there, he was no problem for me. For whatever reason, we had pretty decent chemistry. And so my last tour, Japan, I got really sick. I gave myself salmonella. I cooked chicken one night at the dojo, like really late, and I obviously didn't cook it all the way through. And on the weekends, like nobody's on this, like, if there's no shows, which there were no shows that weekend, nobody's around. Like on the Sunday at the dojo, nobody's around, just the young boys. And Yoshi was still a young boy at that time. And I was so sick. I remember, and he helped me a lot. He got me a lot of like medicine and stuff. And he was like looking after me. So I always respected that and never forgot it. Even as annoyed as I might be of having these. But the truth is, like, if you have this many matches with somebody that like, I didn't mean this word at that. But if you have your favorite person wrestle, if you wrestle them 20 times in 22 weeks or something, you might get sick of them too.
Correct. It wasn't. I don't think it was like an outright angry annoyance. It was here we go again.
Yeah, and then like, okay, how are we gonna make this any different than the other 47 we've had?
Exactly.
And they're all on NXT, they're all on Superstars.
They're all okay. We need Swoggle involved, or we need Yoshi's guy involved, or my every time. Yep. I was laughing because I was like, man, that every week we would show up and go, is this season ever ending? Like, what are we leading towards? And there was never an answer. And
then it's funny, and then it turned into NXT at Full Sail, and that was how I got on the first one, because I had to deal with Curtis Axel with McGillicuddy.
That's right.
So
I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
because I'm on that first one, then that's what ended up getting me in Money in the Bank that year. So NXT, that season of NXT going on forever, truly ended up helping my career quite a bit. In the moment, it seemed like such a hindrance.
How that like one leads to the other in the 6 degrees of separation is crazy.
Yeah. Wrestling is so crazy for that, and especially like WWE is really crazy for that.
Nuts how it all matches up somehow.
Yep.
So Kofi and I talked about this, and you came up, and while we talked about your athleticism and your easily pound for pound, top to bottom, the best wrestler overall we have ever seen. Our favorite TJ, you had Cesaro and TJ, you had DH Smith and TJ. Our favorite TJ is Reindeer TJ.
Reindeer. Dad. It's how funny was that? There's one picture of the reindeer that Kofi has.
I feel like we all have we have it, but I haven't seen it for years now.
I remember giving the finger so that way Kofi couldn't put it on Twitter.
That's right.
But those are my 2011 rules. By 2023, I'm sure you can post it. It's no problem. But what's really funny?
I'm literally putting it in the notes right now to text Kofi for that photo and censor the middle finger.
So the picture that Kofi. So what's really funny if you look at it now, where things are presently, I'm pretty positive the picture is me and the Usos, and it might be all three of us giving the finger. It might be, and it's so funny.
Is there one of like the whole group, or is it just you three?
No, so there's one backstage. The one with me and the Usos is backstage. Then
that's
Kofi
right.
There's another one of us that Kofi always shares. I think it's a screen grab from like when we're coming out or something.
That's the one. Yep.
Because obviously Kofi loves this version of the story, but like I'm this
version.
I'm from the dungeon.
It's like Taylor Swift's new album. It's the Kofi version.
And then I knew, like, believe it or not, I did not want to be a reindeer that day. I would much rather have been a wrestler on the show.
That's what we talked about. We talked about it's so funny because it's like TJ, the best all-around guy on the roster at the time, is just sitting there with these reindeer antlers. And looking so mad. Kofi goes, I couldn't be anywhere. He said like something like, I couldn't be as mad as I wanted to be because I realized TJ is a reindeer as well.
I think I was up front with Gabriel. I'm pushing that thing. I remember when we like the reveal of us coming on the side. I remember
I can picture it.
Both of those guys laughed so much as I said, "This is the best day of my life." Because they kept saying in rehearsal.
Like a silent rehearsal, like the arena was silent, and we just hear, "This is the best day of my life."
Because they said that they said, treat guys like, I know you're reindeer or whatever, but you got to treat this like this is the greatest thing you've done. This is a great moment. I said, okay, got it. I will verbally yell that out so everyone knows.
I worked all the way through the dungeon for this.
That's what I was saying in rehearsal. All those bumps in the dungeon led me right where I wanted to be, a reindeer.
My stomach is killing.
Yeah, my stomach hurts.
That was one of the highlights of the interview I did with him, because I was just like this. I was putting him over, and then brought that up, and just him going, yeah, I was upset, but then I looked and I saw TJ, and I couldn't be as upset as he was that day.
But I feel like I explain this a lot to talent now. Like, once you're, and I know it's a thing you don't want to cross that bridge, but once you don't wrestle, like now that I'm retired from wrestling, like actively in the ring, like I look back at this stuff and it makes me laugh, and I'm actually really proud of it. Obviously, that day in that moment, I was really pissed off being a reindeer, and I was like facetiously pretending that I was extra. This is the best day of my life, messing around. But when I look back on it, it's like so funny. Like that story just made both of us laugh so hard. It's so funny. I realized, in the moment, I wish I could have known that in the moment, not to always like, I wouldn't sell it so much, but I'd hang on to this. Like I'd be in my hotel room and I'd be angry, man, that I wasn't. I remember texting Johnny. I was like, hey, Johnny, I wrestled a dark match today. I hope you guys saw what you need to see out of me in a dark match. I've only been here for 7 years or something. I was like, so I have 5 months left on my deal. Let's move on. And he was like, no, that wasn't what it was meant. And and Johnny was very good at talking to the ledge a lot. And helped me see perspective on things. And I'm very guilty of it. It's why I try talking to talent about it now, because I'm telling you from this side of things, when you look back on it, you'll just laugh at those things. That's
the thing.
They're not as serious as they felt in that second that you're doing it.
That didn't make you feel as bad as like winning the tag titles with Cesaro made you feel good. Like it wasn't, and that's the thing. I always like say, man, I dressed up as a cow. May Young gave birth to me as baby New Year. They had me like dress up in diapers because I was fat. Like, I understand this, but also I had WLC and I had this moment and this moment. Yeah. So who, in all reality, who gives a shit? Like the
truth of it is the good outweigh the bad, and the bad, when you look back on it, unless it's like an injury or something really bad, the bad ends up becoming almost funny. When you look back.
It's something that buddies can joke about and laugh about, and we'll carry on. Yes. We're not going to talk about WLC. We're not going to talk about the tag titles as friends with Cesaro, the tag title win. We're going to talk about the Big Nick stuff. We're going to talk about the reindeer TJ. That's
only Kofi and I out of our group of friends witnessed.
I hate it. Verbiage. It makes me so angry. The thought of that, like that day. And then you guys, when they turned the microphone off, and you guys booing because they turned the microphone off because you couldn't hear the promo anymore.
Till we ran rings.
Yeah, yes. You guys went right up to the barrier then. Before we wrap up, a couple more things I want to just chat about quick is this couldn't be an interview with you without obviously talking about Total Divas. And something I found to be like crazy is being so close to you. During all of that, you literally coming up to me and going, I go to the gas station or go to Target or this place, and I get recognized more for Total Divas than what I'm doing on WWE. So the outreach that happened, was so huge. Did you realize, did you and Natty realize how big it was going to be? Or was it like it took a bit and then you go, oh shit, this is way bigger than we would have expected?
No, it definitely was way bigger than I expected. Like I thought it'd be the same kind of, I was hoping like it would be a different fan, Yeah. I was hoping it'd be what it did end up being, like that reality TV fan is who enjoyed Total Divas. But I assumed at first going in, it's just going to be the same wrestling fan, and it's going to be the same thing. Like you get recognized at wrestling shows, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Which I'm not out here looking to get recognized. I'm just saying the perspective of it. And the truth is, when Total Divas started, I'd had knee surgery. And so it was really good for me because it had a way for me to like kind of keep working without being able to wrestle. Because right before, like at that time, Hawkins hurt his knee and had to get a little minor surgery and like never came back on the road full time again and ended up getting let go. Trent Beretta, tore his tricep, never came back on the road full time again, ended up getting let go. Then I tore my knee and I was like, uh-oh. Same as I was saying earlier about the call-ups. Now here's the same trend again where I was like, oh no, this is the new thing. Get hurt, let them, you heal, you're clear, and then you never.
Especially being as close to Trenton Hawkins as you are.
Both great friends of mine.
Literally, you see almost. Power. Yes, yeah, and you see how that you guys came up together, developmental, main roster, and all that, and you see the pattern here. And now you're the worry of, like you said, exactly what you said. I don't want that pattern to reflect on you as well.
And then thank God Total Divas came along. And what's funny is originally Natty, and Natty's talked about this in a lot of interviews, she wasn't supposed to be on it. Vince actually it was going to be all like, it was going to be the Bellas, Eva, JoJo, but it was like, they weren't going to do like Natty. I think some people thought Natty was like too wrestlery.
Okay.
Vince was the one who said, no, actually Natty will be the glue on this thing because she comes from a wrestling background. And this will be the thing that ties it together to our audience.
Isn't that incredible?
And that was Vince.
Yeah. Have him go to bat for that and for it to become so huge.
Dude, it helped me a lot because I was able to work. And now the interesting thing was like, it's weird those first time those cameras are, I know we wrestle on TV and stuff, but it's so weird when those cameras are in your home and stuff at first. And your guard's up and you're trying to act normal, but it literally is not normal at all. And then over time, you literally almost forget that they're there. And you just start like almost letting loose, maybe too much sometimes if you're me. But
was there a time where you like during that where it was just like, I've had it. Nope, guys, I'm done for today.
100%.
Is there one 100%. That like stands out?
Yeah, the biggest one was the one where a deaf dominatrix came to my house for some kind of like sexual education or something. And so at this point, we're tag team champions, Cesaro and I. And I've done something. I had a hoodie and I had cat ears sewn on the hoodie. I had it from before. And Hunter saw me with it on and he said, hey, he said, just be careful. He said, don't go too far in it where it becomes almost comical with that stuff. Otherwise it's going to become that. And so I appreciated his advice. And so now here's this woman like 3 days later in my living room. She's telling me to meow like a cat. And I was thinking of like Hunter in my head. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And she whipped me with one of my cat's toys in my ass. It stung. I looked at Natty. And Natty are on all fours. We're on all fours. She's saying, yeah. I said, no. She said, bad boy or something, and whipped me twice with the thing. I looked at Natty, and I was like, this is it. I stood up. I looked right in the camera, and I took the mic. I said, absolutely not. I said, no, this is, and Russell was the producer. I looked at the guy. I said, Russell, you and I are going to have a serious talk when I see you next. We're going to have a serious talk. And Natty's like, no. And I said, I'm out of here. Hell no. And I got in my car and left. That was definitely a had it moment. And Russell's texting me because obviously he got word right away.
Yeah. Oh, Russell wasn't there.
He wasn't there.
Oh, that makes it even better.
Yeah.
Like that's and even crazier for him to have to now do damage control on it.
From across the country in California.
Yeah.
And Russell's great. He was always so great with us. It just.
Oh, he was the best. The best.
At the time I'm working, at the time when Cesaro and our tag champions, I'm wrestling 5 days a week, and then the day and a half I'm home, we're filming Total Divas. So the woman hitting me with the cat toy was almost like just the breaking point of like not just that situation, but maybe like I just need a little bit of a break.
Almost the over.
Off.
Yeah, the overworked. Now
Yeah.
this is what put it over the edge.
That's where like Natty's crazy. She loves that workload. I don't mind it in spurts, and then I need need time.
You need the break.
Yeah.
The final thing I want to kind of touch on is the randomness of, so you run a training school, and I started one a few years ago now, and one of my first classes of students, I met a guy that was training, and he knew you, and I didn't think anything of it. Alex Light. And he goes, I play Madden with him. I go, come on. And then you told me about this, how you guys, and then there were like bets on Madden because you were just sick of beating him all of the time. So you would eventually just put wagers on the Madden games that you knew you couldn't lose.
Yeah, we had some battles. He's funny. He's become a very, very good friend of mine. We talk all the time, like every day. We're good, very good friend. Yeah, man. He's like, I'm competitive. He's just so competitive, and I tell him all the time, he's like a professional troll. If he beats you, you're not going to hear the end of it forever. So he beat me a bunch, and I was like, okay. Then I literally started looking up like YouTube videos how to be better at Madden. I was like, well, the only way to be better is I got to just keep playing. And I was out with my neck injury, and I played so much Madden. That I did end up beating him so bad that he broke a couple discs.
I remember. Yes, you told. Yeah, discs and controller. Yeah.
And we it's so funny. I think he said he's getting this next Madden, but we haven't played Madden in a couple years. We moved over to 2K NBA, and
that's even better.
But we team up a lot there rather than
against each other.
We've gone that road too, and same thing. He'll beat me, and he'll just troll me to the point of he's so funny. He said, man, every season's the same because we always create a league.
Yeah.
Alex, myself, and a couple other friends, we always create a league. And he said it always goes the same way. It's like, at first we're kind of even. Then he beats me. Then I figure something out. Then I beat him. Then he figures one more piece out. Then I go extra crazy and really try to figure everything out. And then I beat him, and then it just becomes domination.
That's the best.
And I tell him, same with Madden. With Madden, he totally made me change my style. It's called lurking, where you have to lurk and whatever for the interceptions and follow the quarterback. And I used to not do that. And then he would do it all the time. And I was like, I don't like doing it because I would mess up the play all the time. I was like, nope, I'm going to lose this game really bad. But by the end of this game, I'm going to figure this out. And then the next game, I might not have it down. But by that third game, I'm going to have this mastered. And he's done. He's been done. And he's been done since. He talks about it all the time. He's like, I made you better. I said, you sure did.
Literally, like a coach, but a troll of a Madden coach. Yeah. All right, now man.
He beat me in UFC 4, so that's his thing. And I probably won't.
I can't.
He's great at those types of games.
I the UFC ones I can't do. Madden, Landon is doing Madden. And I realized when it comes to video games, I have a child now. When it comes to video games, when I am getting beat by my child, I just won't play with him anymore because I'm the video gamer. I'm the video game guy. I play video games. I've grown up my whole life playing video games. When my child is better than me at video games, I'm just not going to do it anymore. I'm done. I'm not. I won't. I'll play by myself. I'm not going to play against him anymore. I'm just. Hey, he asks me to play sometimes. I go, no. I got to do dishes or clean the room. I got to do something.
That is awesome.
I'm not playing.
You're making excuses to not play video games.
Yeah, I want to do other shit around the house so I don't get beat by my child at video games. Yeah, 100%.
You don't do the dishes so you can go do the dishes.
Well, man, thank you. This is
Well, thank you,
this has
dude.
been so fun and so
Hell yeah.
awesome to like I say, I said earlier, when it's when it's someone I don't really know, it's easier to write up a thing of, hey, what about this? What about this? When it's my friends, it's almost just like it's almost more work because it's
And because the just going to carry
Yeah.
you all these.
it's
you
just
to
so
almost take
awkward.
it back.
It's so but it's so awkward. Like, hey man, let's talk about this. But
yeah.
it always just turns into a conversation between buddies. That's why when I messaged you, I had Hawkins on and I had Kofi on, and they were so fun and just so
Hell yeah.
just easy going and just
You know what I miss more than any? No, maybe not more than anything, but something I miss a lot. And but the thing is, we'd sit there and we would talk a lot of junk, but also I think we all learned a lot then. But sitting in the stands,
conversation, man.
I miss in the stands. It'd be the same group of guys every
The
time.
same literally like six of us, and we would get to the arena, we'd drop our bags, we'd go eat, and then it was like we'd all find, and it was always the exact same spot.
Yep.
And it was 3 rows, and it was just, man, now that you say that like brings up such good memories of, again,
I don't have one bad memory of sitting in the stands, no matter what we might have been bitching about or whatever. Sometimes it wasn't always bitching, obviously. It was maybe barely bitching. Usually it's laughing. I just remember laughing
and
so
echoing through the arena so much that producers around the ring would look up at us like, oh God, what are they? And it was just, man, those times really, I feel exactly what you said. I haven't thought about it ever until just now. That's what I feel brought our group together and our group as close as it did. Just
sir.
like, and just dealing with the bullshit at times.
Because so we'd go sit there if we weren't booked, but then if you were booked, you'd still go sit there, and then when you had to go do your thing, we were always a part of the group no matter what.
And everyone's so happy for. Oh man, so it's me. Let's say it's me, Hawkins, Kofi, TJ, and TJ's the one booked that week. We're so happy to see him like leave the group to go over his stuff while we're sitting there not booked. It's just it was one of those things, like such a support system, especially when I was Big Nick. Such a support system of of buddies, and it still is to this day. And I talk about it all the time, how my health stuff, you were one of the first people I talked to, just like how you're like I call it the long distance mentor to Landon about things. And it's just stuff like that where it's just so cool that we still have this. I mean, we see each other once every 3 years, but we're just so close still. Thank God for FaceTime and for all of that.
Well, also, and then we do stay, like you and I stay in contact way more than like I stay in contact with like Beretta, for example. But I ran into him in Atlanta at the airport. He ran into me. Some guy just grabbed me from behind, and I was like, I pray I know this person. And I had a long layover, and so did he. So we went to the Delta Club, and like I hadn't seen Trent since he came and visited me right after I got hurt. So I hadn't seen Trent in almost 8 years, 7.5 years in person. And dude, like once I saw it was him, picked up instantly. It was like I just saw him the day before.
Yeah.
There was no awkwardness. There was no like, so what do you do now? It was like we picked right up as though we just had a conversation a couple days ago.
And it's never exactly what you said. So what's going on in your life now? Because in all reality, when it comes to like work stuff, we don't give a shit. We care about, hey, what's going on in life, and just laughing about the same stuff we laughed about 20 years ago. And it's just fun. It's just so cool to me and so awesome. Like Landon and I peeked behind the curtain. Landon and I a couple of years ago went down to Disney for one of our trips. And I text TJ, hey, let's grab dinner. And it from an hour and a half dinner, it turned into about 3 hours of just shooting the breeze and talking and laughing. And it was so awesome. And Landon still talks about it.
How intelligent Landon is, especially when it comes to wrestling. I was like,
oh, believe me, he talks about you talking about that.
Oh man, kid's gonna be a prodigy, man, with this stuff.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And everything. This has been awesome. That's Tyson Kidd, TJ Wilson,
Thank you for
star
having
of
me.
Matt Rats and Total Divas. Thanks.
Guys, let me talk to you about our friends over at Manscaped, bringing you the absolute best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped makes precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. The Performance Package is the ultimate bundle in men's hygiene. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for our listeners. 20% off and free shipping worldwide when you use promo code SWOGGLE at manscaped.com. That's promo code SWOGGLE at manscaped.com for 20% off your order and free shipping. Wait, if my math is correct, 7 million men carry the two. That's 14 million balls. All right. You gotta leave that in.
Say bravado.
You need to leave
Say
that in.
bravado when
You
I
need
do
to
it.
leave
Just
that
like
in. George just did the clap and it made me so happy. That's the
just
interview.
I feel like it doesn't have the
Now
same
we're-
bravado
and
when
also,
I do it.
I'm the one that hit the record button this week. And now it's like, it's
Weird,
very
man.
weird. Me hitting the record button is very
This
odd
man
to
gets his
me.
own Riverside account. Suddenly he runs the whole fucking operation. I'm the peon.
It was fun. That was a fun one. That one makes me happy. I mean, George has a list of possible guests, guys.
Like literal Rolodex of names.
And it's just like, all right, let's reach out. So now I know that we'll never run out of guest ideas. But if you guys have possible guest ideas within reason, throw them
I've
at
seen
us.
some good suggestions.
Throw 'em
I've
at
seen
us.
a lot of people recommend and request an individual by the name of Smart Mark Sterling.
Would love it.
I saw another one today that said you sitting down with John Thorne.
Would love it.
Thought that was a good one. I still think that an ACW pod would be great. Just
So yeah, and that's kind
talk
of like
about the school, the shows, all that. Like I think that would be fun.
that's kind of like the Landon one where you and I talked about the setup of it. It would be
That Landon went sooner than later.
oh, we have to, but we would need the double mic, and we would need I don't know how we're gonna do it. I
Do you
just
still
don't.
have your other microphone? Has
No,
that been whatnotted yet?
I sold that on whatnot, swoggleauction.com.
That went so quickly.
I had a thing the day after. I had a whatnot
Signed?
the day after. Signed, yeah.
Did you sign the foam?
No, I signed. Actually, it turned out great in
actual
yellow,
housing of the
yellow
mic?
paint pen right here on the front. Turned out awesome.
Ooh,
Simply
sounds
Jen
good.
won it. But yeah, I would love to do those kind of, like I still want to do the Eric Postl one, and you'd have to host it with like both of us on headphones and almost like I've been really in. So every time this happens, I was gonna do a very short open, very short close, but every time this
It
happens,
wasn't happening.
I've been very into lately Bad Friends podcast, but not
Okay.
full episodes. I like when they have Rudy on because they just give her a hard time and she gives them a hard time back. I'm not fully sold on the podcast as in full, but if you're listening to this or you're watching this, please reach out and tell them you want Dylan Postl on the Bellied Up podcast. It is with Charlie Barons and his co-host on there, and it is a very Midwest Wisconsin podcast that talks all about everything that we do a bit differently up here. And I reached out to them and I said, hey, I really want to do an episode. And I don't know if
Did
they
you
even
know
have
that I am the mayor of Oshkosh and I need to be on this?
I don't know if they ever do guests, but man, I just really like. I find out about different podcasts through clips of different podcasts, and so that's how I find out about it. Tell a Bellied Up podcast that hey, Dylan Postl should be a guest. But other than that, George, what do you got to plug?
So in addition to this podcast, I host a wrestling video game podcast. It is myself, former Create a Pro champion Johnny Clash, but on this podcast, Dylan likes to refer to him as
Carus!
And we break down a different wrestling video game each and every week. We have a great time doing it. And our new thing, our old thing, but is now coming back, is that we're going back to the tagline of we're breaking down the good, the bad, and the awesome of all things wrestling video game.
I am still so blown away that you guys still have games out there you haven't played.
So the list when we started the podcast was 340 something games. We've been doing the podcast for, I think next week or 2 weeks is going to be 4 years. And because of that, the list now seems to be very small. Don't get me wrong. There's still over 100 games to play, but every year new games come out and we have a rule that we don't break down a wrestling game until it's been out for a year. So even though Fight Forever just came out, we talk about it.
You can't touch it.
But we talk about it. We talk about our experiences playing it so far. But like the official breakdown episode of it doesn't happen until after a year.
Okay.
So we just did 2K23.
So the first one that came to mind, you guys have obviously done The
22.
Simpsons.
I said 23. I meant 22.
You said 20. Yep. You guys have obviously done the Simpsons wrestling game.
Simpsons wrestling game. Yeah, that's early on episode.
Is it as bad as I've always heard?
Try it out, man. You got the setup to play it. Play it on stream one night. It's
all right. Well, guys, this was a whole side conversation about Game Marks podcast. You need to check it out. I have told a ton of people about it on my own because it is something that's very it's very niche as you would think, but also you realize how many games that they're talking about that you've played, or you get turned on to wondering what the hell is that game, and so you'll check it out yourself. It really does the job it's meant to do.
And hey, at the very least, if you are a fan of this podcast and you like Swoggle doing his thing, Swoggle's been on a couple episodes of that podcast, and we play several games. We play
Muppet Party Cruise,
WW Revenge. Muppet Party Cruise is this podcast, but
was it?
But I've got some news before you do your plugs, because next week, Dylan, do you want to know what we're doing next week?
Oh, shit. What are we doing next week?
So I had this idea. Dylan and I are the same age. Dylan's a couple months older than I am. But I thought...
Do I know of this idea?
No, you have no idea. I'm telling you right now.
Oh, no.
I am going to do a screen share, and Dylan is going to try to name the original 151 Pokemon from memory and only seeing their photos.
This is why you... I got... Hold on. This is where Dylan sends a guarantee. 151?
I almost wish I didn't tell you.
No.
And just told you the
First
day
off,
research.
I promise you I won't. I will not research a thing. I promise you. I will call Landon immediately after we are done, and he will make sure I don't research. I promise.
Okay.
But what I'm going to do, 151, you said?
The original 151.
I am guaranteeing I get at least 140.
Okay. We're going to go in order. It's not going to be random.
Excuse me. I guarantee I get at least 140.
Here's the thing. I want to kind of...
This is why you asked me about Pokemon the other day.
This is why I
asked my God, now it makes sense. I was very confused.
So,
I was like...
Do we Do we do a who's that Pokemon style?
No.
Where I just show you this silhouette and
No.
you have to guess?
Hell no.
Or do
I'm not
I
doing that.
show you the actual Pokemon? and you
Actual
have to-
Pokemon, I guarantee I get over 140 or more.
Okay. I am confident in your ability to do it, but I
here's
just thought that
here's
it would
what
be-
here's what I'm gonna ask with the screen share. If I pass on, you have your good editing abilities. You can cut that stuff out. But
I have okay editing abilities.
if I need to pass on one and come back to it, you could put that one
no,
like to the side.
There is no coming back. We are doing it in order. No backsies.
You got it.
If you have
140
dead air,
you can cut the dead air. Yeah.
I would say if you have dead air and you're sitting there and you're thinking, don't worry, I'll just cut that out while you think.
140 or more. Who's that Pokemon challenge? Let's
Landon
go.
will be.
I'm pumped now.
Landon will be taking your cell phone and putting it in another room, so there's no
100%.
sneaky
For
googling.
something like this, I would not cheat for something like this. Oh,
I
I
almost
can't
want
wait.
Landon to be in the room to be like my
100. Okay, if he's here,
like the sheriff.
if he's here, 100%. This is cakewalk. Cakewalk.
I figured it'd be a nice change of pace. We've had
It's gonna be a random one. That's
some
a very
big episodes,
very
but I
random
figured
episode, and that can also get me like going about my hatred for some Pokemon.
there is no hot take that week because every Pokemon's going to be the hot take.
Let's
That'd be
go.
great. All right, Dylan, plug your stuff and then
Guys.
do that signature sign off.
Thank you all very much. Thank you for checking out this episode. This was a very special episode for us, a very big episode for us to be able to land with an interview with Tyson Kidd, TJ Wilson. So thank you for checking it out. If you haven't yet, go over to all socials and follow at Going Postl. At is the A with the circle around it. Going Postl Pod on all socials, Instagram, Twitter, all that jazz. Head over to youtube.com/Dylan Postl. Hit the like, subscribe, leave a comment, smash that notification bell. We are uploading unboxings, video diaries, and all that jazz as much as we can. Also, swoggleauction.com, $10 free to use on whatnot. Just head over to swoggleauction.com and then it's coming. The stages are we're almost to Bowser. Birdo is on the horizon. We're seeing that Bowser ship in the distance. DylanPostl.com. The revamped is coming. Guys, check it out. Thank you all very, very much for checking out this show. We appreciate your support so very much. Thanks. Hey guys, Magic Candle Company is the best way to bring your favorite vacation scents to your home. The smell of a tropical beach, dark water ride, a cruise ship, or even a water park. The Magic Candle Company is the best way to bring those nostalgic and iconic scents from your favorite vacation spot to your home. Visit MagicCandleCompany.com and use code SWOGGLE to save 15% on your whole order and bring the magic home today.